Hey YouTube, Justin Kabelka here. Man, it's been a long time since I did a video, but wanted to shoot a quick one tonight and give you an update on a clutch here. This is 2010, my clutch card here, 2010, clutch number 13. I bred the Shatterfire male from 2009 and a Firefly male to the original female that produced the Shatterfire. And if you look at the clutch here, the Firefly male definitely sired the clutch. Ended up with, let's see, a real nice pair of Fireflies. They have some funkiness to them. Looking forward to kind of seeing what that all ends up being. But here's a nice little female. Some nice side and some weird patterning here on the side. If you look, check that out. Oops. And then we had a pastel female. And a fire here. I got a fire hanging out in the egg here, not ready to come out yet. And 1, 2, and 3 normals. So, and then there's one other Firefly in the clutch. 3 Fireflies total. This little girl, I was going to tell you a little bit about her. I actually don't know if it's a girl. I'm not sure. I've just been calling it a her. All the rest of the babies had their heads out of the eggs, and they were moving around and looking good. And I noticed that she was not putting her head out and wasn't progressing like the rest of them. So I checked her out, and come to find out her umbilical cord was twisted around her body and just twisted several times, so that she wasn't getting any of the nutrition or feeding she needed from the yolk of the egg. So she wasn't progressing like the others. She's a little bit smaller than the rest of them. And when I first found out about her umbilical cord being twisted, she was extremely weak. She really couldn't even hold up her head or do anything. So I untwisted her. I pulled her out of the egg, kind of. The umbilical cord is a few inches long, so you can kind of pull them out a little bit. And I untwisted it and got it unwrapped from her body and put her back in there. But after giving her a couple more days like that, it was obvious that she still wasn't getting the flow through the umbilical cord that she needed. The twist apparently injured the cord to the point that it wasn't transferring nutrition like it should. So I ended up tying off her umbilical cord and actually cutting her free from the egg and getting her out of there. And the important thing, the reason why I did that, is to try to get her into some water where she could drink and she could actually start to give her a chance to survive on her own, because she wasn't able to get anything that she needed from that egg anymore. So if you see here, I'll turn over, you can see where... Okay, you see here where I tied off her umbilical cord right there, and I cut right below the tie. Now what I tied it with is it's actually rubber string. And you can use any kind of string, but the trick is to use something that's relatively thick. In the past, I've tried to tie it with dental floss or something that's a real thin gauge string, and what it ends up doing is when you try to tie it tightly, the floss or thin string thread or whatever will cut right through the cord and sever the cord where you're trying to tie it, and so that doesn't work well at all. So definitely don't recommend that. Use a thicker gauge string. I use the rubber string because it holds real well. And it works great. Now she has been out of the egg. I had her in about a 1/4 inch deep water for the first 6 to 8 hours after I cut her loose. And she drank a lot of that water, and she became really well hydrated. Before she was in the water, her body didn't have a lot of this tone that it has now, and her belly was actually very concave. It was actually, you could actually put your finger down in there a little bit even. And so she's doing much better. She's alert. She's moving around well. And I think this is going to be a success story when it's all said and done. I think she's going to be just fine. Now the trick with her, since she wasn't able to absorb any of her yolk, the trick with her is going to be getting a meal in her relatively quick. Where the rest of all these, they have several weeks worth of nutrition from their yolk. They don't have to eat right away. She's not going to have that buffer, and she's going to need to either take her first meal pretty quickly, or I'll need to assist feed her the very first time or two, just to get a little nutrition in her and get her going. So I'm not going to bother her anymore. I have her in this in this little bin here just to keep her separate from her clutch mates so that they don't mess with that tied off umbilical cord, and that will actually fall off on its own. Give it about a week or so. So there you go. There's a little update for you, and wish me luck on this girl. And if you have everything that you've ever tried for this sort of thing, any advice? I've dealt with this about 5-6 times now, and so far I think I'm like 4 out of 5, and with a lot of success. I think this is going to work really well this time too. So thanks for watching my video, and hope to talk to you again soon.